I have the equation 22 times 14, I can show the multiplication for this equation by drawing it out onto grid paper. I would start by counting 22 squares going one way and 14 squares going down the other way. So here I have counted down 14 and drawn over my line. Across the top I counted over 22 and drew my line down until they met. That gives me one big square that I know is 22 by 14. If I was to count all the little squares in there, that would give me my answer, but that's going to take way too long. There's a quicker way that we can do this. If we can break up that big square into smaller squares, we can go about finding partial products, so parts of the rectangle, and adding them together to find out what the whole rectangle has. I know that when I look at the square and see that it is 14 by 22, that I could break that down into 10 plus 4 to make 14. That's the expanded form of 14. And for 22, I know that it is 20 plus 2. What I could do is I could take my 10s, so the 20 and the 10, and break that up into one big rectangle. So you can say I have the 10 by 10 marked here, which would make 1/100ths block, but I can do that to the 10 times 20, and that would be a bigger block that would use up less rectangles, and I can still do that math. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and make my first big section be. So now I have one nice big rectangle that I know is 10 going down, 20 going across. That means that this side is also 10, and that this top is also 20. Now that I have a big section of my math problem done, I can look at what's left here. So I know that I have 10 of them taken up here, and I have 4 left over down here. Now because we had 20 going across here, I know that if I put a line here, this big square is going to give me 4 times 20, and I know I can do that math. So that's what I'm going to make my next big rectangle be. So far, I have one big yellow rectangle that is 10 by 20. I have a smaller orange rectangle that's 4 times 20. Now I just have this big white chunk left on this side. So I'm going to break this up into 2 chunks because I know that I can get at this really easily. I know that this is 10 going down to this point where it meets up with the yellow. So if I draw a line going across right here, I can see that that's 2 going across. So this section here would be 10 by 2, and then all that would leave us are these couple left at the end here. So my question is almost complete now, but as you can see, there's still this one little corner that needs to be filled in, and that's simple enough. You can already see that it's 4 times 2, so when I fill this in a new color, I'll be able to see that that is 8 blocks, and then my whole square would be complete. And if I was to, when I add it all up, then I'll see what my final answer is. To solve how many squares total are in that whole colorful rectangle, what I can do is add up each color's total together. So I'm going to make a little legend here to show me my yellow, my orange, my green, and my blue, and then we'll write what the equations are, and then we'll add them up to find our total answer. Alright, I have my legend here to help me keep track of what all of the equations mean. So if I look first, I have my yellow block. My yellow block, I have 10 by 20. That's how many is total in this whole yellow block. So here I'm going to write 10 times 20, which by going 2 times 1 I know is 2. I can add the 2 zeros. I know that equals 200, which makes sense because if I had done 10 by 10 blocks, I would have had 2 of them. Would have been 200ths blocks if we were doing this with base 10 blocks, and that would have equaled 200, so we know that that one makes sense. Then we can look at the orange one. Is 4 times 20, which equals 4 times 2 is 8. Add the 0. You want to make sure that you are lining these up in columns that'll be easy to add. Make them nice and straight. Put the 1s and then the 10s and then the 100s. Alright, so then we have the green square, which is 2 times 10. 2 times 10. which would be the same as having two 10 sticks lined up here. So I know that that one is 20. I'm going to make sure I'm lining it up in the column. And then finally, my blue one, I have 2 times 4. 2 times 4, which equals 8. Then I can go ahead and add all of these up. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 8 equals 8. 8 plus 2 equals 10, so I have to write the 0. Carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So I know that total I have 308 little teeny squares in that whole colorful diagram.